Hi, I'm Ben Waits at Singing Success. Let's talk about vibrato. What is it and why does it matter? Vibrato is this phenomenon that you hear all the time, even if you may not realize it when listening to singers. They'll sing a line, "Fly me to the moon," and you hear that little wobble at the end of the phrase. That is vibrato. If you strip this down to something that's really technical as far as a music theory goes, the idea of vibrato is you have a target note, we'll say right here, ooh, and what I'm going to do is what we call a trill from this note to a different note. Ooh, so I chose a half step. Ooh, and then what I'll do is take that oscillation and speed it up so that this pattern goes relatively a lot quicker than what I just did. Ooh. That is vibrato, and you can do this with really any target note. It's very much a natural phenomenon. A lot of times, most singers will find this to be a relatively easy thing to produce. There are just a few that might find this difficult to achieve, and that's okay. There are no worries with that. The best thing that you can do if you find that vibrato it gives you a little bit of a difficulty is take a note that's really comfortable. So you could either do something low, maybe something down here, or you could find in what we call the head voice, you could say, ooh, because it's really easy to make that woo, 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 ooh, and then half step, back down, right? Ooh, and see how fast you can make that happen. And you can get a really quick vibrato. Or you can have the really slow vibrato if that's your thing. Now, why does vibrato matter? Well, there's a few reasons. Number one is it gives some seasoning, like salt and pepper, to your song. If you just had everything really straight, it can get boring super fast and fatiguing to the listener's ear. Everything's just straight tone, straight tone, straight tone. What happens is the person listening, the ear gets really tired, and at some point it'll either be perceived as this is annoying or I'm done with this, I can't handle it. They won't understand why they feel a certain way towards it, but they just won't like it. So vibrato just gives a little bit of that oomph, a little bit of seasoning to keep it spicy. Now, I mentioned that there are different oscillations, meaning the velocity, the rapidness of this particular sound, right? You can have it really quick. You can have it somewhere in the middle. Or it can be really slow. What you'll find is this really correlates with different styles of music. Country and bluegrass can have, especially the bluegrass side, can have a really fast vibrato, and it totally works with the sound. Musical theater will lean more towards the balanced and straight tone side. So they may only have vibrato at the very end of a sustained note. So at the very end of a phrase, if you're singing a line of a song and it ends with you going, then at the very last second, they'll throw a vibrato, and then they'll cut off. So vibrato can add a lot of character, a lot of different things, and it has so much application depending on what style you are singing. So what happens if you're the opposite and your vibrato is just kind of out of hand? A lot of times if there's some vocal damage, you might find this, a singer that has some trouble really controlling and finding stability of their voice, and every note has a little bit of a wobble. That can be vocal trauma. There's a lot of different reasons that this would come about. But let's say you have that somewhat of an issue. If you said, Amazing grace, how sweet. It's really exaggerated, but what you'll find is you're not really sure what note is being sung. What's the target note here? The exercise where you take a target note, we'll say, ooh, and we're going to let the vibrato happen. Ooh, ooh, and you can hear the little wobble, that oscillation. Let's see if we can slow it down. Ooh. Again, think different notes, not just one note that has vibrato. Think different notes, right? Ooh. And your goal is to find really slow oscillation, really fast oscillation, or right down the middle. If you can do those three varying degrees of vibrato, then you have a pretty good stable vibrato.